Our travels in Newfoundland were coming to an end as we made our way to the port of Argentia on the southwest Avalon coast. Leaving Cape Spear, we rejoined the Trans-Canada heading west toward the road to the Cape shore toward Argentia. We were to board our ferry back to Nova Scotia in a couple of days. Our campground was within sight of the ferry dock and occupied a portion of a former U.S. Navy base that had dominated the port and forever altered the local economy. We had a little time to explore as we waited for our Saturday evening departure.
It's Thursday. This is the ferry from Argentia to Nova Scotia. So it will go to Nova Scotia, arrive there on Friday, and then it will return here for our departure on Saturday. Just see it pulling out. I would always suggest they have a successful voyage, but it's even more important now because we're looking for its return and our order for us to depart Saturday. Loaded with people and cars, it travels pretty smooth and easily.
Although I haven't talked to everybody here at the Argentia Sunset RV Park, I'm fairly certain that most, if not all, are waiting for the ferry trip on Saturday. Or maybe they just came in from the ferry that arrived today. But we have a little less than 2 days before we board the Argentia ferry home. And although the wind is howling today, it's actually supposed to be calm for our trip across. See if that weather forecast holds. So yesterday we arrived at Argentia and we'd spent the morning at Cape Spear where there was a fair amount of fog. But that's nothing compared to today. I think yesterday we could see, at least know that there was a dock down there and there was a ferry, but we can't even see beyond the end of the road right now. A short distance from the campground, a network of trails had been developed that traversed the hills and overlooks of the former Navy base. We took some time to explore. Ready to race? 100 meter dash. Left a railroad tie there. Part of the Placentia Trail is a mummers festival. There's a bunch of kids activities, but this is a mummers festival, and the mummers are come danced in costume and mask on Christmas Eve. That's a Newfoundland tradition. So these are all dressed as mummers. Fog has finally lifted. At least most of the inshore fog is gone. You can see that there's a beach out there. And the ferry terminal is not too far away. With the fog lifting and some better visibility, we decided to drive into nearby Placentia for lunch and to visit the Castle Hill National Historic Site. Mary Brown's Chicken and Taters. It's all over Newfoundland, and we're going to try it just before we leave. As sailors, we encountered too many opening bridges to count. So, seeing the sailboat approach this one, we could put ourselves in the boat with the captain as he approached the bridge. What we didn't expect was the fact that the bridge was not high enough for the sailboat to safely pass under it. The captain discovered this just as his mast was about to touch the bridge. Castle Hill was a French and a British fort, so the French built it first, and then in the Treaty of Utrecht in 1713 the British took over and eventually rebuilt it to look more like that. So this is, pretty sure it's fireweed. And we were told in Alaska that when the fireweed flowers started to fall, it was time to leave Alaska because the snow is coming. Now I think in this case the reason the top is not full of blooms is because they haven't burst open yet. Some of the appeal of Castle Hill is its view of the harbor, which obviously aided in its defenses. But the fog has rolled back in since we dilly-dallied in town, so no view today. It may seem strange that the fort was built to protect basically a stone beach, but the value of the cod fishery was such that it was the currency of the day. So protecting the fishing grounds and the fish that were harvested was worth the defenses that were built. A traveling exhibit in the visitor center contained elaborately embroidered panels that told the history of the forts lost by the French. It also told of the conflict and dislocation that occurred when the French surrendered their lands within Newfoundland to the British as spoils of war. The Acadians that had lived in Newfoundland and Nova Scotia for generations under French rule were left without a country, and their expulsion by the British was merciless and deadly. After days of fog, we see that there is water out there. There is a view from here at this Argentia RV park, and it's very pretty. Ferry's in. We leave in a few hours. The Argentia to North Sydney ferry is much longer than the route to Port aux Basques, taking 16 hours and covering 280 nautical miles, compared to 7 hours and 96 nautical miles. However, taking this ferry saved us 500 miles of backtracking across Newfoundland. The ferry had arrived on time at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, and we didn't have to check in until 3, so we took one more trip to Placentia for lunch and some last-minute purchases before we needed to take our place in line. We're in lane 10, so it's going to be, you can see just past the circle.
Oh, yeah. 11's kind of strange. Oh, we're with the other bands.
That makes sense. We're all with the bands. As in North Sydney, Marine Atlantic has a terminal building that offers waiting passenger space to sit and relax, with a gift shop, restrooms, and some limited vending machines. However, unlike North Sydney, we were required to show a boarding pass and ID when exiting the terminal, a requirement that Kathy hadn't understood upon entering, since her ID was back in the van. The attendant was able to make a call to let her out. Whew. So we're here at the terminal, and we got here around just before 2 o'clock. So we're 3 hours early. We have to be here 2 hours early. So we're wandering around the terminal, see what's what, getting a better view of the ship. This is one of the newer ships, or maybe the newest ship in the ferry service, the Alasinu. And we did get a cabin, so we feel lucky on that. For the 16-hour voyage, it would be nice to have a place to sleep. Inside the terminal, there was an exhibit that told a more in-depth story of the impact of the U.S. naval base on the war effort, and more specifically on the local families that were displaced to enable it to be built. So there's 3 rows here that are empty of cars or vehicles of any sort. Very different from Port aux Basques, which was also filled with many semis, large trailers or trucks. But those aren't here today. So this row of cars that's closest to us has just been filling in after starting at about 3:15. And we're speculating, but I believe it's people who didn't have a confirmed reservation. So once the 3 o'clock passed and all the reserved passengers were supposed to be here, they got a chance to get on board. Although we were one of the last rows of vehicles to board, it became apparent we were going to be the first to disembark in North Sydney. Okay, we're on deck 3. This ship is only 2 years old. Was put into service about this time 2 years ago. Here it is. 83. We had been waitlisted for a 4-berth cabin and a 4-berth pet cabin for months. A 2-berth cabin spot had never become available. But just as it had happened on our way into Newfoundland, a couple of days before we were to board, we got a notice that we had been assigned a cabin. On a 16-hour overnight, we were more than delighted. Change beds in the middle of the night, I suppose. Oh, a couple of outlets, that's good. Okay. Little closet. So it looks like we have a porthole. How nice to be able to see the sea go by. And we have a restroom with a shower. After locating our cabin, we made our way to the sage dining room in the bow of the ship for an early dinner to avoid the rush as the hour grew later. Both the mussels and our seafood Caesar salad were delicious, and we were able to have some impressive views off the bow as the ship left the harbor. Alasinu means traveler in the Mi'kmaq language. The ship had been decorated with art by First Nations artists throughout. We explored the different decks and the amenities each offered. So the land in the distance is actually France. It's Saint-Pierre and Miquelon, which are two islands just off the coast of Newfoundland that France still owns. So I guess it's technically, we might be in France right now, so because we might be in their waters. So. After enjoying an amazing sunset, it was time to call it a night. It's about an hour before we're disembarking, and land is in sight. North Sydney is well, we're on the starboard side, so North Sydney is probably in view on the port side. But we've had a very good night's sleep, and looks like we could have a pretty day to embark on our journey through the rest of Canada. At the North Sydney dock, the dock lines were replaced with these docking pads.
So we're the second one.
So we went the first, but we're the second, so we gotta wait a second. So the cars are coming off upper deck as we come off the lower deck. Very efficient. Pulling out of the ferry, we made our way to a nearby grocery store and gas station before heading down the road. We weren't sure where we would spend the night, but it was time to make our way back to the U.S. It turned out we would learn about Alexander Graham Bell's involvement in Canada's early flights, take another ferry, and end up taking a dip in the first swimming pool since we left Georgia in May, all before the sunset on another day.